First question is from And0NBR. What is the benefit of cable movements when compared to their dumbbell counterparts?
Oh boy, cables versus dumbbells. Cables are my favorite machine form of exercise because they're more like free weights than I would say like machines, because they allow freedom of movement. You're not limited to a track like you might be on a plate-loaded machine or a selectorized piece of equipment. And they're super, super versatile. What's the benefit of cables?
Constant tension, I would say.
Yeah, that's the big one. And I'm not restricted by gravity. So with dumbbells, I'm just working against gravity. So I can't take a dumbbell and create resistance going down like I would with like a cable crossover. So cables allow me a lot of versatility and the constant tension. There's no like weight curve. Like what I mean by that is if I do a curl with the dumbbell, the heaviest point of the curl is going to be at the midpoint when I'm fighting gravity directly. When I'm up here at the top or at the bottom, it's actually not truly, the stress isn't the same because I'm not fighting gravity directly. Whereas with cables, if it's 30 pounds, it's 30 pounds all the way through. Now, this doesn't mean cables are better. It just means that they're a lot different than dumbbells, a lot more different. So when you put them together, you've got great variety.
I'm glad you said it like that because I think this is coming up. This person probably follows, I forget his name. His handle is like the hypertrophy coach or something. He just did like a whole video on the whole, cable versus free weight type of argument. And, the truth, and I don't like feeling like we're being forced into one camp or the other.
Yeah.
I think you heard the message around free weights from us so much because we think that so many people neglected free weights, right? Like if they fell out of favor. Yeah, they fell out of favor, right? Obviously early, in the, 70s, 80s, and 90s, they were more popular. Or I'd say 90s was when the cables and machines started to really take over in the 90s, 2000s, and so forth. So I think that the reason why you probably hear us advocating for free weight and barbell exercises so much is because we think that people neglect that more. Now, in a perfect world, you have both. I mean, both are amazing. And I just think that the only reason why you hear more of the free weight argument is the point that I'm making. But take an exercise like a rear fly, so a bent over rear delt fly, an incredible exercise for building your delts. I love that and prefer that on a cable machine because when you come down, right, and you're at the bottom with the dumbbells, there's like no tension.
Resistance.
There's no resistance, no tension on the delt at all. Whereas when I'm on that cable and I'm pulled and it's stretched, I'm in that stretch position and some of the highest tension is on it, which is completely opposite of what's going on with cables. With free weights. And so the benefits of that if all I ever did was dumbbell rear flies, I wouldn't get any of that because I have no tension there whatsoever. So I don't neglect either one. And I guess the real benefit of each of them individually comes from which one do you tend to do more of? If you find yourself using machines and cable all the time, you are missing out on all the great benefits of free weights. If all you ever do is free weights and you're like, oh, I'm an anti-machine cable guy, well, then you're missing out on a lot of benefits from cables. Put both in your program.
Totally.
I love cables for just increasing overall volume for specific body parts or, following up on areas that I'm really trying to build and develop more exclusively. But yeah, in terms of that versus something else, like it's in combination. There's so many benefits from dumbbells and from barbells and in terms of overall muscle stimulus and growth. To avoid that would be a mistake. I do think that this provides a lot of value to complement and pair with that, but exclusively, I think you're pretty limited.
Yeah, and I want to add one thing because what we try to do, we're limited with our knowledge of different types of resistance and how they affect the body. Like it can be hard to explain why a free weight squat, let's say, would build more muscle effectively in the lower body than, let's say, a hack squat, for example. And we could talk about tension on the muscle and leverage, but at the end of the day, there's still some mystery. Like, why is it that free weights tend to? I think it's dumb to pick one or the other. I think it's smart to utilize all of them. Okay, but if you absolutely have to pick one, I think free weights edge machines out, and the best argument I could use, which isn't a great argument still, is that our bodies evolved lifting resistance or working against resistance that is more like free weights than it is like machines or cables. So lifting a boulder or a log or swinging something or throwing something. Gravity has, for most of human history, operated in one way, and we didn't have bands, cables, and machines, and so our bodies evolved in a particular way. That's the best argument I have. I know it's not a good one, but I definitely think that the reason why we tend to promote free weights so much, besides the fact that people neglect them, is that they just tend to be generally more effective when you look at the whole picture. And again, not a great argument. I'm sure we'll figure more things out later on, but that's kind of where I stand with it. But I think you're dumb if you go, well, I'm only going to pick this. Or
yeah, get out of the camp. There's no reason to be in a camp here. I do want to head off, though, something that will probably come back to us whenever we ask someone, but why, if you guys advocate for both, then why does this program not have any of it in there?
We have multiple programs.
I know. And so that's because this always happens when we talk about a benefit of something.
The right job.
I mean, it always happens. We talk about the benefits of it, and then someone's like, well, then why doesn't your program have that? Well, it's because all of our one program isn't designed to run that one.
Those are all pieces of the puzzle.
Yeah, that's right. So it's like you should run that for a while and then move into another program that does have them.